President Bongbong Marcos caps 2022 with a very good 68% satisfaction rating in the Social Weather Station's fourth quarter survey. Joining us for his insights is University of Santo Tomas political sociologist Frederick Rey. Fred, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, when the survey was conducted, it was in the month of December. And during this period, we had rising prices of key basic commodities. This was where we had onions as a hot button issue. And we saw the rise in prices not in small increments, but huge price jumps. And you also had soaring interest rates due to rising inflation. With all of these problems besetting Filipinos, why was the popularity of the president still high?
Hello, Rico. Thank you so much for that wonderful question. I think this is the extension of President Duterte's populist nature of public administration or governance, where the people tend to be anti-elitist, anti-pluralist, anti-scholar, anti-expert. And at the end of the day, it was basically the dislocation of truth, seemingly authored by marginalizing class or classes. Kaya kahit medyo in crisis yung lipunan natin, majority of our citizens favored a kind of presidency na popular in nature.
But doesn't the Marcos family belong to the elite? I mean, you know, through my experience covering global news, Fred, for 25 years overseas, I know that people of many countries, when it comes to rising prices, whether it be food, parking fees, or even fares, they get angry. They go out to the streets and protest. Why don't Filipinos really do anything?
As I mentioned earlier, yes, Rico, please go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, why don't we do anything? Why are we so patient and have a high tolerance for pain?
There is this sense of detachment where our institutions are seemingly autonomous from each other. But in the analysis of systems, if we try to perform a functional analysis or a systems analysis, there should be a coherence or interdependence of systems where one institution is heavily dependent or interdependent from each other or with each other. In our case, there was this sense of autonomy, especially in our political institution, removed from other institutions. That's why even if we have a crisis in politics, we have a crisis in our economic institution, for example, we cannot establish a strong universal action to provide a solution to that crisis because there is this sense of detachment or disconnect.
It seems like, Fred, we as Filipinos easily forgive and forget, especially what the family has done in the 1970s all the way up until people power. I mean, what is it in our history that makes us forgive and forget so easily and swallow all this pain and suffering?
I think from a sociological perspective, we can argue that over time, our experts, our scholars, our certain class or groups in our society had been exclusive, marginalizing, and there came a time in the episode of our country where masses who had been muted for so long were given a chance to be heard. And this once inertia, once a pure potential na masa natin came into being, and that kind of energy was defined by its parang
But so Fred, I mean, the bottom line, this high tolerance, no, for forgiveness and forgetting, being kind, smiling people, resilient. Does it reach a point wherein it comes to a fault that we are already at fault? That's why we can be taken advantage of.
Yes, there is this extreme parang naging too personal na tayo, which is I think also part of the postmodern movement where we become too self-centered, yung the person being the center of all consciousness. And that hindi na tayo attached, we are no longer connected to what we call our collective conscience. That's why it appears that to some extent we easily forgive and we easily forget because we no longer exist as a collective, as a nation, as a race.
So are we likely to still change? Are we still likely to still change, Fred? To be less forgiving? Should we be more demanding of our government?
Yes, at all times we should be demanding and we should ask or demand for the best. We are also looking at the possibility that this good standing of our president as well as the vice president could give us a sense of direction or a sense of cultural cohesiveness where we can rally under one interest or under one direction, where there is this national drive to provide solution to hunger, for us to achieve good life. And if we go deeper into the same SWS survey, we will encounter that there is a thin line that separates yung declaration ng self-rate poverty. There's a 50-50 claim that at least 50% of our population is living in poverty. Also, the incidence of hunger. The same survey tells us that around 13.6 million experiences hunger. Joblessness around 23.8 million. So we are looking forward. We are looking at this kind of popular leadership, this charisma, to be converted into something concrete, meaningful, and to become a rallying point as a nation.
Well, we do hope that it will be for the benefit of the Filipino people sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for your insights. University of Santo Tomas political sociologist Frederick Rey.